What's up, YouTube? It's your favorite evoker, Eric, and I'm back again today to bring you one of the most requested videos that I've gotten, and that is to do a guide of Ruby Life Pools. I think Ruby Life Pools is one of the hardest dungeons to heal out of this set, and a lot of healers are struggling and being gaslit and feeling frustrated. And so I've decided to make a guide to help you through all of this, and so that hopefully your Ruby Life Pools will be much less painless. Of course, they'll always be painless or painful, but maybe we can help a little bit on that front. So without further ado, it's gonna be a long video. I'm gonna hop right into it. Let's hop on over to the VOD. So this morning we did a 21 ruby, and then we killed the first boss. We died on the second boss, so we ran it back as a 20, and we timed it without any real issue. I think at this point I pretty much got this fight solved as Evoker. Um, and yeah, I'd like to share with you some of the stuff I've learned. So first of all, let's talk about talents. I use different talents for every single dungeon at this point. For the most part, I mean, there's a few like where there are overlaps, and I'll soon have a video talking about the different talent builds you should use for every dungeon and why you should be using them. But for the purposes of Ruby, I look up to go for a more defensive build. And there's a couple things you can do. If you're very scared of the first boss, you can run this build right here, which you're looking at. Empath is incredibly powerful for the first boss. It's incredibly powerful for any sort of rot fight where you're just like slowly being whittled down. And the reason for this is that when we cast a Spirit Bloom, we're going to get a ton of essence regeneration. This works incredibly well with Power Nexus and Grace Period, and allowing us to simply echo reversion tons and tons of people in the party. And then as our essence runs out, we're able to just fire off a Spirit Bloom and do it all over again. You never feel essence starved with this build. And so any fight that is similar to the first fight in boss in Ruby, this works really, really well. That said, I do find that Spiritual Clarity is an incredibly potent talent on Trash, and also for the last boss. The reason for this is that it lines up with every single one of the big fire elementals, Infernos. You'll have a Spirit Bloom for that. And if you want, and then also for the last boss, it lines up with every single interrupt, which is like massive AoE damage. It can feel a little bit overwhelming if you're just like constantly getting that damage. You're also healing the dot. So it's nice to have something that just always lines up. You can always reach for it, and it always feels good. Um, so I did opt to run this in the 21 and the 20. One other change you can make, which I did opt to make in the 21, and I just decided to carry it over into the 20, is to drop 1 point in Life Force Mender for a point in Renewing Breath. You do lose damage, but the timer is like really, really free on Ruby. It's just really like don't die is kind of the thing with it. So I did opt to run this build exactly. And I think this is a really good build. It is definitely interesting to decide between these two talents for me, but I think in the end, Spiritual Clarity kind of just goes a little bit over the edge, just because of the way that it handles the trash, the way it handles the second boss, and then of course the last boss. It lines up incredibly well. Yeah, this is the build that I would recommend if it's a, progression Ruby key and you have not yet done that level. Without further ado, let's just go ahead and hop right into it. We'll be spending more time on particular things and less than the other. You couldn't see me sigh like as we put the key in. We had just bricked the 21. I had done really well like through the first half, so I was a little bit sad on the way that we died. But it's okay. So coming to this first poll, as for this, the trash like leading up to first boss is like really not much of an issue. So here's one thing you want to watch out for. Um, as you can see, our tank does grip it, but this mob here, the Earth Shaper, does an ability called Tectonic Slam. Um, Definitely, this is something that you want to watch out for. You have the ability to interrupt it by using your tail swipe. I wouldn't recommend that you use your Typhoon ability or your Wing Buffet ability, as it were, because it will scatter mobs everywhere. This can mess up your tank. It can mess up your DPS, and just make for a frustrating situation all around. You just want to make sure you get stops on the Tectonic Slam. So going into this pool, I'm trying to get like some Echo Reversions out. You'll see me put some on myself, put some on some of the other DPS, and immediately go into a stasis. Um, and the reason why I'm building up the stasis, it is bursting week, and I want to have a lot of healing for once everything dies. Also, there's a lot that can go wrong on this pull. So having a huge stasis that you're just like chilling in the background is like really, really nice to just be able to slam that button. You do of course also have rewind for the same purpose. But here you go. You'll see me finish off the stasis here, I'm sure, with a spirit bloom. I tip the scales there. No real reason to tip the scales. I guess I just felt like it. It's fine. It's fine to put that ability on cooldown in this trash though. So here I'm trying to conserve the stasis. You'll see me just putting out some reversions. And go ahead and doing an Emerald Communion. Yeah, there's not too much to learn here. All these mobs are gonna start to die. They'll start to burst. And like the real big thing is like we're watching triangle here. This one does go off. I did have a potential stop, but I did not have my tail swipe. So that's just ideally something that someone else stops. But again, not a big deal. Most of the stretch is like pretty easy. I'd say that this whole stretch is kind of the easiest part of the dungeon. Um, while you're on the stretch, you can definitely just fire your stasis off on cooldown. We'll see if I do it here. Um, yeah, I don't end up pressing it again. There's not really a point. I mean, the trash is just very easy. We just do like a handful of big pulls here. Go into Drathkar. Same thing, just killing this guy, dodging his abilities. Nothing too simple. So let's get to the first boss though. So this first boss does warrant quite a bit of talking about. Um, so as we pull into this first boss, I'm looking to on that last trash get as many essence burst procs as I can. Ideally, you go into the boss with 2 essence burst procs. I'll show you why. We're gonna ramp on the team. So everyone has echo. When my frames are green, it means they have echo. And she's gonna do her first heal bombs. So as soon as those go out, you're gonna see me reversion myself. Boom, everyone has reversion. And I'm gonna reversion whoever's the lowest. So we have tons of reversions out here. This is increasing all of my healing on everyone. That's really important that you have as many reversions as you can. This is why the empath build is very, very, very strong. Cannot stress it enough. It is the strongest build for this boss specifically. It's what I wanted to be playing, and it's what I would definitely recommend if this boss is like the thing that is going to be holding you back, or if your group is going to be patient enough to let you play that build and then pour it out and then change your build for the rest of the dungeon. That would be the most ideal scenario, but you don't want to slow the key down by doing that necessarily. So we get our first bomb here, and you're gonna see me go into stasis. I go ahead and I do a verdant embrace. I choose to hit our warlock because warlocks are prone to taking a double tick. And I go into a dream breath, and then I go ahead and tip the scales into a spirit bloom. So this is really important. That goes us through that first one. We have a huge stasis. Don't just let go of the stasis here on these next hail bombs. You have a few seconds. Use them wisely. In this time, you are going to be looking to get out as many more reversions as you possibly can. You say I have a lot of reversions out. I have still have the dream breath rolling. I'm not scared for my team. They're not going to die to these kill bombs. Like at this point, like even if they went off now, they're not going to die. I know that. So what I'm just looking to do here is get these 2 reversion charges I have off cooldown, get as much value as I can out of them. And just let everyone just passively be topped off by my hots. So same thing here. The heal bombs happened. Everyone has hots on them. The dream breath is still rolling. There's no reason to pop the stasis. I'm saving it for the next hail bombs. And as you can see, I still have 16 seconds, 15 seconds. So I'm just like slowly ticking down. So here we get our whelp phase. If you do get another circle here, that is where you'll pop the stasis. If you get the whelp phase, like this is where you'll pop the stasis. So start DPSing the boss. Now what you can do here is you can deep breath and fire breath. Again, I'm trying to play as carefully as I possibly can because my main concern is like I don't want my team to die. That is the most critical thing. So that's where my head is at. That's what I'm thinking. Um, and so yeah. As we go into this, I start fishing for some essence burst procs by hitting our lady friend here. And yeah, we'll go ahead and pop our stasis immediately. And we'll start ramping a little bit. Um, so this is something you can definitely do here. I think I choose to go immediately into an Emerald Communion. I do, so you can see the life bind. Um, so what I've done is I've gone Echo, Echo, Bird Embrace, and now I'll go into Emerald Communion. And you can see everyone's getting healed nice and full. We'll go ahead and send out that Dream Breath. It's boosted. And now I'm back into maintenance phase because we have finished the shield. I'm gonna start trying to get out as many reversions as I possibly can. As soon as you're in this phase with the heal bombs, the whole name of the game is echo reversion, echo reversion, echo reversion. We're saving as many of our big spells as we can for the frost for the big white circle. Not because we want to, simply because we have to. So here I'm gonna go ahead and see. I living flame. Okay, so there I use my fire breath and then I living flame myself, so that living flame hits everyone. Instead of using it as a DPS ability, I use it as a defensive ability. Very important to remember that you can always fire off a living flame with leaping flames into your own party. That is what I did there. That is a very useful thing to do here because it's just one more extra burst of healing. I imagine I'm going to Spirit Bloom here, and I'm just gonna fire that off. Again, we're saving all of our powers, all of our big stuff um, for the things that actually matter. So again, we go back into our maintenance. Like in this phase, we're looking to echo reversions as much as we possibly can. I get the thing here. So okay, when you get this circle, this is a great one to go ahead and send Zephyr on and to send your wall on. I might even pop Renewing Blaze. We'll see. Okay, so I don't pop Renewing Blaze. I do Zephyr and I do use my wall. I save Renewing Blaze here. Um, and it looks like I'm just gonna go boop, and there we go. As you can see, I mean, we're just kind of saving. We're basically just that might have been a little bit of a punt. What I did there is I went echo, 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 and then Verdant embrace myself into a dream breath. Topped everyone off quickly. But I did waste a lot of essence on those on those echoes. Um, I could have been putting reversions on the party, and so I think what we might see here is me falling a little bit behind on these this next set of hail bombs because we don't have very many reversions out. The ones we have out are about to expire. So this should definitely be a testament to why you want to always be echoing reversions with your essence. That is what you do with your essence. Let's see if we fall behind. Just a little we do. Nothing too bad. But I mean doing that for the whole fight, like your team will start to rot out just a little bit. So we fire off the Spirit Bloom. We're in stasis once more. Saw that it came back off cooldown. And I immediately fired it off. So we have our stasis again for this phase saved up. So I am going to go ahead and pop that stasis. We get low very quickly. And just kind of going through the motions. I would recommend on this fight, try not to plan out your rewind necessarily. But just use that for a moment when you really, really need it. And just basically go with the basic flow of kind of what I'm talking about now. Just echoing reversions in the frost bombs phase. I mean, sorry, echo reversions in the kill bombs phase, and otherwise be looking to yeah, this is when I start to run out of juice. You get a little bit it's easy to get a little bit out of gas here. And trying to save your bacon powers for the white circles. Here we go. I think we'll see me use renewing blaze here. I like desyncing my cooldowns personally. Um oh, this one was very monka. Yeah, we would have been dead on the 21 there. Was not prepared to get that circle. And I'm definitely out of things, and I'm able to top him just in time. Woo! This is definitely a scary fight. But yeah, I mean, using so he does actually take an extra tick. This is really important. Make sure that when you're talking to your DPS, they know to never take an extra tick, and if they have to take an extra tick, so you see he goes the wrong way. It looks like he tries to walk out the wrong side, and ends up paying the price for that, and just drops too low. It can't save him. So try to make sure your DPS know, like, don't take that extra tick. Like, I'm not always going to be able to bring you back from the brink if you take that extra tick. You got to have either a defensive or some sort of movement ability so that you don't take two ticks from being inside that storm. So we do lose our DPS tragically. I'm actually running out of juice here, but I look over and I see like everything's about to be back. Boss is also dead. So I just kind of start to smite the boss. At this point, it doesn't really matter what we do exactly. Boss is just dead. All right, so there's the first boss. And you that's kind of the basic flow of what you want to do. Key points to you should take away from this are when you are between white circles, you're looking to echo reversions. When you're in white circles, that is where you're sending your major things. Always have something big planned for the intermissions, and hope that your DPS can burn the shield down quickly. And that's pretty much all you need to know about this first boss. So going into this trash, The dragon is the first major thing that you will run into that also requires a good bit of precision. We'll see how I handle it here. I always do pretty much the same thing. So we're gonna go in. Again, I'm not really looking to do a ton of damage. I'm just trying to make sure my team stays alive. I could have deep breath and fire breath fills my maxing. But I know the timer's not tight. I'm just looking to get all of my healing like really perfect. It is a 20 after all. And my DPS are pumpers. I think that this is a fine approach to a progression key. So I go into echo, echo, echo. And here we're gonna get the first dots. So what you're gonna see me do is go stasis or dispel into stasis, into verdant embrace to top everyone, into a tip the skills, spirit bloom, into a dream breath. I did pop renewing blaze while I had the dot, and I did pop my wall while I had the dot. That's important. If you get the dot, pop renewing blaze, pop your wall. And that's pretty much how you deal with the first set of dots. Um, And then, like, we're going to our maintenance phase. We're between like big damage events, so we're looking to spend as much essence as we can on echo reversions. This is the common theme that you'll see with this class. And something that I always recommend is we are going to be spending so much essence on just echo reversion. Whenever you have downtime, echo reversion. Let's just constantly be doing that. Echo reversion, echo reversion, echo reversion. It just gets so much mileage, especially with this particular build where we're playing grace period, where we're just amplifying all of our healing done. Um, when we have targets with reversion, you do get, of course, it does scale. So, like, let's say you have an echo and a reversion, you're getting 10% increased healing on a target for both of these. That's really important to note. So yeah, right as so we get our second set of dots here, and right as they come out, I'm going to immediately dispel. So I dispel myself because I don't have a defensive. I just used both of them on the last set, and I'm gonna pop my stasis to top everyone, and just go back to spreading echo reversions. The rogue did cloak, which made it a little monka because he got the dot and then he cloaked. But it's totally fine. We lived. All's well that ends well, as they say. So yeah, we'll just go through a couple of these packs of trash. They're all kind of the same, so I'll just spend a little bit more time on this first pack, kind of talking about the mechanics. You might be included in the kick order. That's definitely important. I accidentally sent that Emerald Blossom. You might be included in the kick order. If so, like, I'd set a focus and have an out focus kick. It just lets you kind of back chest and not worry about it. You also get like a big little frame, whoever your focus frame is, that will show you like when it is casting. And you can kind of listen to your tank, or whoever is calling kicks in that situation. So going in this pack, I'm looking to spread some reversions. Let's see, I'm a little essence starved here. So I don't actually have anything major for this particular pack. Usually, like, when you go into these packs, it's okay to go ahead and pop off the and fire off the immediate stasis if you have it. You can look to Verdant Embrace, the person who gets the first bomb target. You can put just a hot on everyone, and then you can use your Spirit Bloom for the first Inferno. With this build, you do have a Spirit Bloom for every single Inferno. Um, and that is definitely important to note. I do Emerald Communion here, as opposed to the Spirit Bloom. Whenever I get this dot or the whenever I get the dot, I do tend to wall if I have it available. Looks like I did have it there. And I did use it. So there's an Inferno, so we'll Spirit Bloom. And the trash is fairly straightforward. Try to get as many hots as you can on everyone. Use a Spirit Bloom for Inferno. Try to maintain as high uptime as you can on Dream Breath and echo as many reversions as you possibly can. So we do get another Inferno. As you can see, like, Inferno happens and Spirit Bloom immediately comes off cooldown. As I mentioned a couple times with this build, you have it for every single one of those Inferno casts, and it just really takes the pressure off. Boop. Just does so much healing. I do think this was a slight mistake sending this when I did. If you're gonna send your stasis, I think you send your stasis at the start of one of these pools as opposed to at the end. Definitely don't want to send it like at the end of that pool going into like just the triple pull that has no like real unavoidable damage. It is what it is though. Never a bad thing to have a lot of healing into. Consider staggering the tank, but he says he's fine, I believe. And yeah, the triple pull is pretty fairly straightforward. Make sure that you're kicking. Make sure that when they do their dance, you are using your tail swipe, or that someone has some sort of stun or something for it. So going into this next pack, we're gonna see the same thing. I should have gone with some reversions here. I do echo 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 into verdant embrace, which is I mean also perfectly fine. I think like as long as you have something planned for every single inferno, as long as you have something planned for every single dots, then you should more or less be fine. So we'll go ahead and spirit bloom for this one. I send a potion here. It looks like send our potion. Actually, like didn't Z access that swirly on the ground. I remember this happening. It's like, wait, why didn't I Z access that? That was very weird. But yeah, it's kind of the same basic flow for all of these. You're looking to there's a good one. We come into this pack. We immediately fire off with fire breath, and we start echoing reversions. Echo reversion on the person who has the living bomb. Go into a go into a stasis. We do our standard stasis rotation. Now we have this stored. This means that on the next one we will be able to just release the stasis. It's fairly straightforward. The trash is just very technical. Again, make sure that when the flame dancers are doing their dance, you are tail swiping. You have some sort of plan for dealing with them. Make sure that you're getting kicks, and make sure that you have something planned for each one of the destroyers, infernos, and for each dot. Fairly redundant. Probably sound like a broken record at this point. But that is about what we're gonna do on each of these packs. It's easy to get really overwhelmed because there is a lot going on. The packs are very painful. But as long as you're looking out for the things that are important, it's fairly straightforward. So we get the Inferno, we Spirit Bloom. Like we're gonna probably echo some reversions here. Yep, we just use a Verdant Embrace. I mean that's also perfectly fine. But yeah, that's about the size of it for this trash. Let's move on to the next boss. Now for this boss, it's a fairly simple pattern. We're gonna go through two particular things that we want to do. First we're gonna bait the ad, and then we're gonna bait the boulder. This is a personal responsibility fight, which means that you have to do it correctly. The rest of your team does too, but you're not worried about them. So the first thing we're gonna do, we're gonna bait the ad. And so as soon as the ad starts spawning, you'll notice myself and my other teammates, we're getting into a position where we want the boulder to go. It's gonna choose one of us, it's not gonna choose the tank. So all of these places are great places for the boulder to shoot at. So you'll see here, she's gonna pick one of us, and there it is. Boulder's going in a great direction. I already start pre-ramping because I know as soon as this ad spawns, it's gonna start casting massive AoE damage. Let's see how we handle this. Looks like we go into stasis. We pop a verdant embrace, expending all of the echoes. We go into a spirit bloom. Boom. And we go for a dream breath. I'm actually not a huge fan of going echo, echo, echo into Verdant Embrace unless you're doing the Emerald Communion. I'm not sure what I was thinking. I do that a couple of times in this dungeon. I think it's a bad habit. And I think that I would be much better served by having turned those into reversions and then just going into the stasis, Verdant Embrace myself, into a tip the scale Spirit Bloom, into a Dream Breath. I think that is a more ideal way to do this, especially with this build. But you're not always going to do everything perfect. That is definitely what I would recommend that you do with almost all of your essence on pretty much every single context is try to put out more reversions because those reversions are so good. It's so good to have reversion on everybody. So same thing, we get an ad here and we move into a place where we want the boulder to be baited. I actually start to move and then think better of it and I'm like, "Oh no, I want the boulder to go here." So here we have the stasis because we stored it up on the first one. So as soon as this inferno goes off, we're going to be looking to put, there we go. We do it correctly this time. We put reversions on everyone and we pop our stasis. So this is a really important thing. Um, my tank is very tanky and he is very, very good at tanking. So he doesn't need a ton of assistance on these. But let's take a quick second to talk about tanks in this fight. So you'll see a debuff down here right now on the tank if you look. You might notice it. It says two stacks. She's going to put a debuff on the tank. Here, watch. I'll go fast forward. So watch what she's doing here. Steering blows. You're usually probably very preoccupied by healing, so you don't notice this. But she's putting a very nasty debuff on the tank right now. It hurts incredibly bad. If you tank this, then you might have died to this ability. I've died to this ability taking it. It's very painful. Um, so it is also important that aside from having this basic game plan that we've outlined for what we're gonna do with our abilities for each one of the roaring or for each one of the infernos, that we also have a plan for the tank. As dragons, you're able to go stagger on the first one. You can go echo, 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 verdant embrace into emerald communion. For the second one, you can stagger again for the third one, and then let them know on the fourth one, hey, I don't really have anything for you here. You can also communicate with your tank before the key starts and talk about, hey, would you rather have stagger on either one and three, as in the first debuff and the third debuff, or two and four, as in the second debuff and the fourth debuff? And then you can also communicate with them further and say, I also am able to do an Emerald Communion ramp on one of these where I can be giving you a ton of health back. If during Emerald Communion, your tank is basically never going to die. They're incredibly safe. So you kind of have like those three to work with. You'll usually get four, maybe five. Um, and just let them know kind of like what your limitations are, what you're able to do for them, so that they are able to plan their cooldowns around what you can do, and they will probably have a very solid game plan for what they would like you to do. I mean, ideally, right? So I see again, a boulder is getting baited. I go where I want the boulder to be. It's okay to like wait for an extra second inside of this. Just remember, like, you can watch this little countdown here on burnout. Like, you have a while. You can bait the boulder inside of the orange circle. You don't have to run out immediately. It's okay. We do get like it's not a bad bait. It's not a great bait. It's kind of fine though. Nothing terribly wrong with it. So we'll go back into our maintenance phase. We're looking to echo some reversions. The ad is up. I get into position for the molten boulder bait. It does choose me, so my bait is definitely paid off well here. So here I go ahead and I tip the scales. I'm a little out of position because she chooses me with the boulder, so I have to move. So I tip the scales and do a spirit bloom. That's one thing you can do is you can save your tip the scales for like when she chooses you with the boulder. It's very easy to fall behind on healing if you are having to move away from a boulder right as you go into this first inferno. That can be pretty painful. Yeah, we just send out our dream breath. Start hitting the boss a little bit, echoing some reversions. And yeah, pretty much just chilling. This is not the greatest bait ever. Again, but again, all you can really worry about is yourself. Try to have yourself, or try to be positioned yourself in like the best possible place that you can be. And other than that, it's just kind of the same thing on repeat. We are looking to just echo a lot of reversions. You can use your essence for a verdant embrace if you really feel so inclined. Um, and yeah, I could have entered a stasis here. It's probably a mistake that I didn't. Um, But I guess I felt pretty safe and decided, you know what, I'll just stasis on this next one. So yeah, I think that's what we're gonna do here. Might even Emerald Communion this one. Let's see. The point is that you have options though, right? Like you always have lots and lots of healing on this. I would say on the 21, that is when it starts to get a little bit sus, so to speak. So here we go, Verdant Embrace and Emerald Communion. And we're all very, 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 very safe. I imagine that this next one, I imagine on this next one, I'll probably go ahead and pop the stasis. I see that it's open. So I'm sure I'm thinking in my head, this next one's probably stasis. And yeah, very straightforward boss otherwise. So if you have any questions on this boss, on any of this stuff, you can always leave them in the comments down below. I'll do my best to read them. I am very busy doing lots of keys. We're about to hop into 21 chord as soon as I finish this video. So here we go. Same thing. Yep, we're in our stasis and we just do our basic stasis rotation and go back to hitting the boss. Echo some reversions because we have some downtime. And yeah, it's pretty much the same thing. We bait their boulder in a good place and just rinse and repeat. Here we'll release the stasis, of course, and yeah. So other than that, it's pretty straightforward. All right, this is the next bit of trash that can be a little bit of a challenge, and I'll probably do a guide for this trash exactly on fortified week because it's kind of a pushover. Even in a 20 on non fortified or on tyrannical, that is. Um, so the basic idea for this trash is you're gonna have these lightning channelers, right? And as you may know by now, they're gonna be doing a storm, and that storm is going to do a lot of damage to you. So going into the storm, I'm looking to put reversions and echoed reversions on as many people as I possibly can. And I'm effectively just gonna be doing the same thing that I'm doing like, on pretty much everything. I'm gonna be sending my spirit bloom. I'm gonna vert and embrace into a dream breath and just kind of using my big abilities for those storms. This is another place where I like the short spirit bloom cooldown. Just because it is very potent on these guys as well. And yeah, this trash just kind of melts and fortified. So just to like talk through a little bit of like I mean I'm sorry, melts on tyrannical, just to talk through a little bit of some of the things that you can do. If you are doing fortified on that first pack, you can do your Emerald Communion for the first one. You can do just like standard spells for the second one. And when you come into the second channeler, you can do stasis, and then the stasis spells will just carry the first one, and then releasing the stasis will carry the second one. Going into the channeler up here, you can look to use your rewind, and you might, depending on your timing, you might even have your Emerald Communion back again. One thing I will caution is to try to set it up such that you have your Emerald Communion, and ideally your rewind as well for the last boss. If you don't, though, it's not the end of the world. We'll talk about some of the options that you have there when we get there. Yeah. So the flame channelers, make sure those are getting kicked. Very, very important. And it's kind of the same thing that we're doing all the time. We're looking to echo as many reversions as we possibly can. We are looking to use our big spells looking to use our big spells during the lightning channel, the lightning guys channel. This pack is of course fairly easy. I guess for cooldown timings, we went around the outside and we chose to do the high channeler. Doesn't make a huge deal difference to me. I do actually like to do a verdant embrace ramp. Verdant embrace into emerald communion ramp on this guy. Um, if at all possible, on fortified, if you use your Emerald Communion on the first pack, you will most definitely have it back for Ravati. I found in the bigger ones. On beta, I always did. Although, and on beta, everything did a lot more damage. So yeah, we go into the first storm. Let's see what we do here. So we looks like we're gonna go Verdant Embrace into Emerald Communion. Yep, I love doing it this way. So it makes a lot of sense to me. We go into a maintenance phase. Not sure why I'm not putting out those. Why I'm not putting out the. Oh, I see what I was doing. I was choosing to echo Dream Breath. That's definitely something you can also do on these guys. Is if you have a boosted Dream Breath that you're just sitting on and you have essence, you can just go like echo echo and just go ahead and spend that essence on putting two Dream Breath hots on someone. Those people like these, you'll see the Warlock's health like he's gonna be very very safe. I'm sure. And yeah, go ahead and go into a Spirit Bloom, and we're all very safe. You know, lots of us have our party members have two dream breaths. Some of our party members have two echo revert or have two reversions. Sorry, stumbling over my own words. Um, and yeah, that's kind of the basic flow. And not too much here. Let's see if I choose to use this stasis. I believe I will. Let's see. I actually don't. I just sit on the stasis. Not sure about that. I think it would have been fine because I know that we're about to pull this guy, and having the stasis for the first thing would have been a lot more efficient. So probably should have used it. I think at this point I'm just not really scared of this trash. I feel pretty confident like that I could go into these with absolutely nothing and it'd be totally fine. So I'm just like thinking about the next boss. Because on Tyrannical, as I'm sure you know, this next boss can be a bit of a doozy. So yeah, same thing here. It's gonna go ahead and put a bunch of reversions. I tip the scales into a Spirit Bloom, knowing that the tip the scales will be back up by phase two of the next boss. And that's pretty much it. We get one more. Go ahead and fire off a Spirit Bloom, kind of top everybody in the party. We kill the Thunderclouds, trying to stall a little bit. So we go into this. I have an echo on everybody. All right, so let's start fresh. So going into this boss, I would recommend that you put an echo on every party member. if you can farm the essence burst off of these guys or off of like whatever the last pack you do is. Um, and yeah, you can just go into it. You can actually sit on the echoes on people without spending them for quite some time. So that's pretty important to note. I do just go ahead and spend them here. I know the interrupting crowd burst is coming, and I want my spirit bloom to hit harder, and it's going to hit a lot harder because everyone has increased healing because they have a reversion on them. So here comes the cloud burst, boom, and we just immediately spirit bloom. You'll have spirit bloom for every single cloud burst with this build. So that talent counters that ability 100%. It's not even a problem. So during this phase, your DPS are gonna want to be hitting the dragon. Every chance you get, you're burning the dragon. Um, the dragon is much scarier than the guy. The guy is not the problem. The dragon is the problem in P2. So every single thing that you're doing in this boss is looking to smooth out that P2. P2 is the hardest part of this fight. Again, we got the interrupting cloudburst, so we spirit bloom, lines up perfectly. You'll see me dispelling my tank. You have to dispel your tank every single time it gets the debuff, or she gets the debuff. That is very mission critical as well. So just make sure that you know that ahead. Um, so yeah, just kind of doing more of the same here. Just some maintenance. I probably should be firing off that dream breath a little bit more in this phase. I actually accidentally echo the tank here instead of myself, which was really scary for me. And I'm a little bit behind with the spirit bloom and the spells. I like currently have a bugged button on my mouse that just sometimes doesn't work, and that's happens to be my self target button. I have a new mouse on the way this week. It can be a little bit frustrating at times. So yeah, let's talk about this ability. So during this phase, Karaka is going to occasionally spit fire onto one party member, and that party member is going to take massive damage. I recommend the same rotation for every single one. You're going to echo, and you're going to verdant embrace, um, and then you're going to put two reversions on that player. Believe I let the rogue cheat there. Think I didn't verdant embrace in time. So we're dispelling our tank off cooldown, and we go ahead and dream breath. That was a little bit monka. Again, the same thing. Somebody gets the dots. So, oh, I see what happened. We did have someone that stood in the actual fire there. But the same thing. Someone gets the dot. You're gonna echo a reversion, or I'm sorry, you're gonna echo a verdant embrace, echo reversion, and kind of move on with your life. All right. So it looks like we're pushing phase here. So as you go into pushing the phase, one thing you can definitely do is like as you're going in, you can be building up this perfect stasis, which is exactly what I do here. In this particular moment, like I'm gonna have everyone use their defensives. Because when you release the stasis, that is the most dangerous one. You have the option for all three of the ones that you'll get. We only get two here, which is like quite a blessing. Um, but yeah, going into this, we call for defensives, we call for a cloak. And yeah, I believe we rally here. So we go up into the air, and I release the stasis. And in that stasis is just the standard burst rotation. So here I'm looking to get as much essence as I possibly can, and I'm gonna Zephyr. And on this one, and the second one, I always do the same thing. So you'll see me go echo, echo. And because I don't have enough for a third echo, I vert embrace that third player, and then I immediately go into Emerald Communion. This is the safest thing you can possibly do. Um, because it doesn't matter how spread everyone is, like you're still gonna get a ton of healing out of this. Um, and you can pretty much just like press that button and not worry about anything. It doesn't matter if there's bad overlaps. It doesn't really matter what happens. You're gonna be pretty safe. So what I was planning for this third one, we don't get it. But just to talk about what I was gonna do, was gonna be to immediately fire off the rewind, or was going to going into it, I was gonna fire off the dream breath, and then when the damage happened, fire off the rewind, and then start channeling a spirit bloom. It's really really nice to have a tip the scales for this particular phase. I did not have it. I think I fired it off in phase one at some point. I don't think this is like my cleanest Karaka I've ever done. I've definitely had some where I felt like I walk away and I'm like, yeah, I healed that pretty perfectly. I think I did made quite a few mistakes on this particular boss. But again, nothing's ever perfect. We did walk away with the W. And that is of course all that matters in the end. So yeah, once you've killed the dragon, there's not really too much left to do. You can kind of just make sure you dispel your tank. Hit the boss, and it's kind of chill. One thing you'll notice is that my damage is very low overall. And I'm perfectly okay with this. I'm not looking to do a ton of damage at this point in the season, especially on Grievous Tyrannical Bursting. I'm just looking to keep my tank or keep my team alive. And that is something I would definitely caution you towards as well. Is on some of these more challenging weeks, you are a healer. And first and foremost, you want to make sure that everyone is alive. And so there it is. We get the 20 achievement for Ruby Life Pools. Feels pretty good. And of course, we roll the 21 core, which I'm about to go do presently. So yeah, that's pretty much it for my guide. Let me pop back over. Yeah, that pretty much does it for my Ruby Life Pools guide. If you enjoyed this guide and you enjoy Evoker content in general or just healing content in general, feel free to click the subscribe button and definitely like the video. If you really want to help me, you can leave comments. Tell me your favorite tip that you saw in this video. And yeah, that's pretty much all I've got for you today. You could definitely look out for my next video. It's going to be in the works here shortly. And that video is going to be talking about the different builds that I use for different dungeons. There's a handful of builds right now that I think are incredibly strong. There's some really, really potent options. And I'd like to kind of walk you through them, talk about the choices I make, talk about the choices I don't make, temporal anomaly, and looking at you, and why you may or may not make some of these similar choices. So I guess I'll see you then. And until next time, yeah, thanks, says bye. See you guys later.